Okay, hello again. Good evening. My name is Dmitry. I do iOS programming for last 6 years, and since March I do iOS programming in Citadel Bank. And as a spoiler or the promotion, I encourage you to download the latest iOS application if you have iPhone. We released this just a couple hours before the meetup. And at the end of the talk, I'm going to show you some nice magic there. Okay, but let's now continue with our topic. So tonight I'm going to tell you about a couple iOS architectures, 3 of them, or 4 actually, and I will try to show a simple example, as simple as possible, how development on iOS happening, why the architecture is different, and what are those benefits and weaknesses. Imagine some imaginary company with some imaginary manager coming to his imaginary developer and asking, could you make us just a gift list app, simple one? Okay, what can be simple? Let's do this. So, as a good developer, I always have half-ready project. In our case, it's a very simple application with a single screen, and it has the list of the gifts and have the text field for inputting the name of the gift. But the only one part is missing here, and it's a button. Let's add one. So we arrange it, we rename it, and we need to add some constraints to align. Oops. Oops. Okay. Let's arrange items. It's to what's happening here? Okay. We need to add some arrangements on the other side and on top. Okay. Okay. So we are almost there. Let's run the application and see what we have. Okay, so far we have a table, we have a text field and a button, but nothing happens. We need to add some logic there. And before that, we need to align our UI, what we see here. Let me increase it slightly. Let's align it to our code. So what we want to achieve, we want to make some action when the user press the button. So let's do that. We just drag, and let's name the method add button pressed. Okay, so whenever user presses the button, something should happen. In our case, we want to add a new gift. But since we have a gift, or actually a list of gifts, we need to store it anywhere. Let's add an immutable array to store all those gifts. So we have property, gifts list. Okay. So when the application launched, the gifts list is empty, and it's not actually empty. It's a nil. It's nothing. So we need to initialize. And we initialize this by assigning an empty mutable array. Okay. Now we have this. Now back to button. Whenever user presses the button, the text from the text field should be added to this gift list. But we don't have reference to the text field in our code. Let's add one. So here is the text field. Here is the reference. Let's name it gift name. Okay. Now, whenever user press the button, we take our gift list and add some object. And object in our case is self gift name text. Okay. After we add it, we want to ask our table view to refresh the view and add the actual the gift name. And we want to do that by aligning the table into the code. Okay. Table view. So we ask our table view, reload data. And here we need also to change the methods which will build our table view. In this case, we want as many rows in the table as many gifts we have in our gifts array. So, and we return gifts list count. So for each cell, we want to display the name of the gift, and we can do this by changing some methods. Elf gifts list let's see what we have. Okay, let's type the name of the gift, iPhone. Okay, nothing happens. Why? Because we add the gift name, but not, we actually misplaced this line of code. Let's check once again. Okay. iPhone. Hooray! We have our application working. Applause to us. Okay. Back to the Angry Manager. After a couple hours, the manager again comes to developer and asks, it would be nice if you could add some nice features to the application. For example, we need a price tag to the gift. And I would like so application to remember the list of the gifts. In our case, it's just erased every time you restart the application. Okay, easy to do. But since it's Christmas season, we might enjoy some magic. Okay, the magic happens, and we have a lot of codes working for us. Hooray! Oh, a lot of code. Let's discuss each line one by one. So, in first version of our application, we stored the text as the gift name. So we refer to the gift as just a simple string. It's a simple object. It has no other attributes, it's just string. In case of gifts, we need at least two attributes, which is the name and a price tag. We cannot reuse the string for storing the gifts. And for that, we have a new object, which is called gift, which has a gift name and a price tag. Gift name is obviously a string, and a gift price is the number, which is represents the number, basically. In our view controller, we have a lot of code, and this code, first, when the application launched, we read local storage for the array and trying to load them into memory and show in the table view. And whenever we press the Add New button, we do the same, but in this time we update the storage array of the gifts on the disk. And we clear some nice some text fields. We remove error label, which I will tell a little bit later. And again, we have table view, which has the basic cell displaying just the gift name and the localized price for the gift. Let's try to relaunch and see what we have here. Okay, so we have two text fields. The first one for the name, again, let it be iPhone. Let's put some price there, 800 euros. Okay. Hooray, we have one. Let's add another gift. I think the iPad is a good choice. Hooray, we have, it's working. Wonderful. Now let's discuss what we just saw. So in the first example, you have very simple application, and I call it slap shit together and deploy, which in Russian means hirak в production. Never do that. Just avoid doing that. It's funny, but 80% of the project I saw started at the SSDD. The second example is an MVC. The problem here, we have a view controller, we have a model, and we have some representation of the view. Now let's continue with the slides. So MVC stands for Model View Controller, very famous in Apple world. It's highly promoted by the Apple. They have dedicated documentation section on their website. They inspire a lot of teachers from the Stanford to do online courses, which are free. You can download them on iTunes U and enjoy. And they have their own vision of MVC, because if you try to study about MVC on the Wikipedia, you find something different. But that's Apple's vision of the MVC. Let's discuss in details what we have there. So we have controller, which is basically the center of the application. We have model and view. So the model represents the content. In our case, it's just a gift, which stores the gift name and a price tag. Usually, it's a simple NS object, just plain object, nothing more. The view represents the layout. In this case, it stands for anything that has prefix UI, UI label, UI button, UI view, etc. And it's really hard to test MVC, really hard to test the view behavior in MVC pattern, because it's tightly coupled with the controller. And now we come to the controller, which is basically the intermediary between other parts of the MVC, and it contains all the business logic. So in our case, we have 5 files which cover all our needs, and we follow the MVC pattern. Now, this slide, those who do some iOS coding know that this is a breakpoint, and I set the breakpoint on the table review method, which is called after the user first press the button, then the model updates, and we update the view. As you can see, we have 2 steps, which was number 6 and number 0. So it's really easy to debug MVC because everything is obvious. You can see what's happening there. But the problem with MVC that controller becomes really massive. It has all the business logic. It has all the persistent logic there. It has some other checking there, and it becomes really huge to test. In real project, I've seen a couple classes which has like 3,000 lines of code. And you cannot basically just remove some of that, because you will break the application. You need just refactor the whole application from the scratch. So MVC obviously has some weakness. But if you follow some simple rules, for example, for the cell in the table view, you do all the formatting logic inside the cell, not the controller. You take part of the code from the controller into the cell. And whenever you use the table view or collection view controller, you just try to keep all the code for that updating inside the separate file and import them in the controller. You can just move, I don't know, like 60% of the code into this separated model, which can be tested separately, which increases the testability. And again, MVC is a good starting point for beginners. It's obvious. You can easily understand what's happening in the application. But we're going further with our story, and this manager also come to the developer the next day and ask if we could add some new features in our application. In this case, we want to have a total amount of all the gifts that we planned to present to our relatives in this Christmas. Okay, let's do that. And since it's Christmas, let's hope we have some more magic.
Are you calling to China right now?
Yes, to India and China, both of those. Okay, we have more code here. I wonder if you can see that. I will try to increase. Okay, So we have a gift representing the model with the same attributes, gift name and gift price. We have our old known view controller. But in this case, we removed all the logic for persistence, basically loading from the persistent storage and updating it into another file. And we have view model for the gift list, which basically implements the table view delegates and data source method. And we have some interface for our view model. Let's try to launch application and see what we have. Oh, hooray, it's working. It's even load the data from the previous session. Okay, let's add some new gift. What would be the good gift as Mac? And for the Mac, oops, too many zeros. It's a full configuration, I guess. Okay, so everything seems to be working. Let's check what we've just observed, what we have seen here. Let's go back to slides. So in this case, we used the model view model. It's slightly different from the MVC. The model basically the same. The view slightly changed, but let's discuss the view model. It has the main difference from the MVC. So in this case, a view model in Objective-C means UIKit independent view. View representation. So unless you import UIKit or any subclasses, you're following the MVV model. You put all the business logic there. You can launch it in unit test. You don't need to run application to test those. And it has all the network requests inside it. Very easy to handle those. And when you try to, let me just go back to the previous slide. So you can see this arrow between the view model and the view. So the view owns the view model, but the view model reports back to the view. In standard MVVM, this is done via the binding. We don't have binding in iOS. Binding can be replaced by the reactive programming or KVO, key value observing programmation in iOS. Okay, so to achieve the same goal, we use now 12 files. And same screenshot from the debugging. You can see that we now have four steps. But again, it's quite easy to debug this stuff. And testing is, let me try to increase font slightly. So we have two test cases, test gift list ordering, and we have gift list unique. So the first one checks that we order them by the price, so the most expensive comes first. You see, we do not load any UI stuff here. We just do the simple business logic testing. And the second case where we check that we're not adding the gift with the same name twice. So everything is quite testable, quite easy. Let's now move forward. Definitely the MVV makes testing more easier. It's when you combine it with React, cover React programming, which is outside of this talk because it's a separate topic, very interesting one, but rather hard one. You can enjoy the life because you've done the binding, so you basically bind some UI element and the data, the model that is represented there. And my recommendation that this approach should not be used by junior developers because they can bring more mess than happiness into your application. Just spend some time with MVC, then switch to MVV. Okay, back to our Angry Manager. This time, this gentleman asked us that we want to double check that everything is working. We want to make our code as reusable as possible because the Easter is coming and we need to produce another application, Easter gift list. Okay, let's do that. Okay, final magic for this evening. Okay, we have slightly more code here. Let's slightly more code here, 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 and here, and here. This more, and this more, and we have some shared folder and a model inside. Okay. So let's first double check that everything is still working. So we launch our application. Okay, it's loading. Let's try to add another iPhone. This time the cheap one. Okay, we can do that. It seems to be working. Okay, let's add iPhone 7. Hooray, it's working. And we see the list is ordered by the highest price goes above. So what you observe here is another architecture pattern. We can see that we have the model, the gift, the same object, gift name, gift price. We see some data storage, which is responsible for uploading and downloading application. In our case, it's simple. We just store the array archived on the local disk. But all the network requests, all the requests to the database comes into this data store. And we have two modules. The first module, which is responsible for displaying the gift list, and the second for adding a single gift into our database. In every module, we have a module interface. Basically, this is the place where you integrate this module with other modules. So this file telling other module, hey, I'm doing this and only this, nothing more. What is happening inside, it's not your business. That's only what you can ask me to do. In our case, we want to just update the gift list. We have some interactor, we have some presenter, we have some view, and some routing. Let's switch back to slides so I can explain in details what it is. Okay, this monster calls Viper. It's really a bigger one, and you cannot just simply start doing Viper. You need to spend some time with a book, with some materials. So let's discuss each part of this in details. We have even more on the iOS representation. Okay, the interactor. Whenever you start developing application with a Viper architecture, the first thing that you start is interactor. That's the place where you put all your business logic for all your use cases. On iOS, this is just plain simple, plain old NS object. It has no UI imports. It knows nothing about data store. It asks its data store manager, and it's the place where you handle all the network requests. It doesn't know about the entities and persistence of them. It only operates with a simple object loaded into memory. Okay, the next part is entity, obviously the simple one, which represents the content of your application. The presenter is responsible for preparing data which received from interactor and passing it to the view. Again, it knows nothing about the UI part. It only transforms the data, but it's not presented it. It's not showing on the screen. The view is one who is responsible for showing, but in our case, it is passive. It never asks anyone, give me some data. It only presents what it given to the view. And usually in iOS, it is implemented by the UI view or UI view controller. So again, these parts here, the updates from the presenter to the view and back, is usually supposed to done via the binding, but again, we don't have binding on iOS. We use Kivio with reactive programming. But in this example, we are not using any of them. Okay, the wireframe is basically the part of the application which is responsible for placing your view into the UI window, and it has reference to navigation controller, and it's the place where you create all other parts of the Viper. So I don't know if you can see this. So this is the screenshot of the single module, the gift list, and that's how it's mapped to the Viper model. So the routing in our case is shared between the wireframe and the presenter. We have view, we have simple view controller, we have a simple class for the cell for displaying a single gift. We have presenter which gets the data from the interactor, and that's the place where it transforms the data, because the interactor is working with a gift. And in our case, the gift class has two properties, NSString and NSNumber. That's how they are stored in the database. But gift localized has two string properties. The price in our case is localized because presenter prepares the data for the view, the displaying. View knows nothing about number. They can only display the string, the text information. And interactor has some interface. It's used to get information from the presenter and to notify the presenter that I have something changed inside me. In our case, we have 39 files to achieve the same logic of the application, and the debug. Obviously, increase of number of steps. So, when the user and the add gift view controller press the add gift button, the view notifies its presenter that the button with this data in text fields was just pressed. Then the list presenter notifies that we're about to update the gift list. Then gift list presenter updates the gift list. Then the data manager stores the data into database, fetch the updated list, and back to the view controller, which displays the list of the gifts. Testing. Since, let me just scroll back a little bit. Since every part of the Viper is separated, you can easily mock, for example, with interactor, you can mock the data store and the presenter and test all the methods of interactor. With the presenter, you can mock the view and the interactor and test everything about the presenter. So it's highly, highly testable, each part of that. And even the view. The iOS developers know how hard to test the view. But in our case, let me show the example. So this is the test case for whenever when we don't have any gifts entered, we present the empty list view. And with this test case here, we just ask our gift list view controller that, hey, display no gift list. And we verify that this special view is visible. It's not hidden. So highly testable, even UI part. Now, when to use? My suggestion that no junior developers should even try to do Viper, because you will bring more mess than trying to solve the problem. If you're a senior developer or you architect, please try to set up the Viper in your application, because once it's set up, it's really easy to support all the modules. When you have all the use cases in a single place, you just open the file that you need and you add another case there. When you have a view, you can test every single part of the view that you have. But the real problem with the Viper is to start using it, to try to set up the application. For me, it took almost 3 days to set up this basic application, which has no logic at all, I would say. Okay, and again, if you use it with React programming, then you are just get bonuses. Okay, now let's try to do some summary. So it's obvious that easy to start with MVC. The Viper is the hardest one. When it comes to extendability, to support, then the Viper is definitely the winner. I will show you the code example in a minute. Debug. MVC, really easy to debug. When it's MVVM or Viper and you have reactive programming, then the debug is a nightmare. You might have, I don't know, 60 or 70 steps in the debug. Try to follow that path. It's really a nightmare. Testability. Again, Viper is absolute winner because everything is testable. With Smoking, everything is testable. And now let me show you the... Okay, so we have a gift list interactor. Okay. So this is add gift interactor. On the scheme, it is this part with the business logic inside. So we have a single method, add new gift with the name and the price. Let's see how it's done inside. So this is the first use case. We verify that the name of the gift is actually more than a 0. So you type anything in the text field of the name. The second part verifies that you don't have the gift with the same name. And the third part is that you verify that the price is higher than a 0. Or if it's not provided, then it's a 0. So whenever we want to add something else, we just add whatever we want here. I don't know. And we're done. So now the use case can be implemented just in a single file. Okay, back to slides. That's basically that's it. Okay, any questions?
Yes.
Yep.
Viper is like awesome, right? But,
Should be. It's hard to learn, but it's awesome in usage.
That's for the big guys. Like MVC and MVVM, at what point does it make sense to switch from MVC to MVVM?
Whenever your view controller becomes bigger than, let's say, 100 lines of code, it's time to switch. Yeah. Simple rule. Because 100 lines is basically 2 screens you can scroll. That's it. If it becomes wider, then obviously something is wrong. And you cannot test. The problem with the controller is that since it has the business logic inside, and controller has its own life cycle. In order to get to this business logic, you need to follow all the life cycle of the controller. So you need to launch the application, pass some data, trying to show it on the view, and then to test it. It's really hard. The only way to test business logic with the view controller is the UI testing. Okay? No more?
Yeah, I have a do you have a notion of MVP pattern in your iOS environment, or do you consider it the same as MVVM?
It's almost the same as MVVM.
Yeah, I know, but like in your...
I was trying to put the different. Yeah. I was trying to put some part different to show that, hey, this is different.
So you like
no.
MVP in the same range?
Yeah, it's up very close to MVVM.
But do you actually use this term?
We have spaghetti style. The last project that I joined, the Citadel, we have a lot of legacy code. We try to separate some parts. In some of them, we try to use, of course, MVC because it's obvious. In some of them, I was trying to use MVVM. And even simple React programming helps you to remove a lot of code and have all the logic inside. I don't know, 2 lines of code, you have many possibilities. But we don't have Viper yet. Okay, yep.
Why do you use Subjective-C instead of Swift?
I'm not so expert in Swift yet. So the plan is to acquire the knowledge and refactor the application to Swift. Because the Viper becomes very easier with the Swift. You don't have interface files. In Objective-C, you have 2 files. For the protocol, it makes 3 files. The protocol, header file implementation. With Swift, you just have 1. Yep.
More like a note for those who want to know Viper more deeply. There is a book published by Rambler. It's available in Russian language, and also there is some code boilerplate generation tools which kind of reduce this amount of boilerplate you need to do available.
Yep. by the way, if you don't mind, I want to make it simple. So, for those of you who have Twitter, please find this tweet and vote. At the bonus, right now or whatever, I will close the voting maybe in 2 days, because here are the reference to this project with all the patterns on the GitHub. So feel free to use it. Okay, no more question? Okay, the promised surprise. Who has downloaded the Citadel application in iPhone? No? No one? No one? No miracles, sorry. Yeah, okay. Can you open it right now? Okay. Okay, the miracle comes to Android, but slightly later. For those who have iPhone but shy to raise the hands or have iPhone back at home, whenever you open the first screen, you will see the smart search where you search all your templates. Type snow there, and you will see the miracle.
What?
Snow. So Citadel saves the Christmas, we add some snow. Thank you.